Here we go!
I love Mario Kart DS. Out of the 4 Mario Kart games I've played, it's my second favourite. And while I could make up a good reason for this, it's just nostalgia, no other reason. But even though I love this game, yeah, a lot of the tracks are... So I'm gonna try to fix them. But before I actually talk about the tracks, I need to say that I'm only making Mario Kart DS better, so I do not care about any future games, or feeling Nintendo-y. We all know how that ended up. Also I'm adding 200cc because I can. First time fixing the Nitros, but not all of them are absolutely bafflingly abysmal. So the ones that are pretty much perfect the way they are Cheap Cheap Beach, Luigi's Mansion, Delfino Square, Waluigi Pinball, TikTok Clock, Airship Fortress, and Peach Gardens. So I guess it's time to get fixing. But first I'm going to start off with Figure 8 Circuit, the Mario Kart track I think about the most. Not because it's like keeping me up at night from how terrible it is, it's just every time that I hear the word figure, my brain goes, Figure 8 Circuit? Figure 8 Circuit?
Such
What
a
were they
genius
thinking?
track.
This is terrible.
Figure 8
Why am I
Circuit.
like this? So that's wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to actually talk about this improved layout. Warning, I'm not good at art, so this art is not good. Also, before I show you the art, I swear I'm not trying to copy a certain track. I thought I designed this myself. I felt really smart and proud of myself when I first designed this with a piece of metal in school when I got bored. But yeah, I think you can see it now. It just code circuit. I swear I didn't try to copy it. Anyway, I'm going to actually show you the new version now. So that black line there is the starting line. And from there you go into a long straight like the original, but instead of just being a boring long straight, I've added these boost panels that boost towards some pipes, so it's a bit risky going for them. I know it's the first track and shouldn't be too difficult, but if you're bad and always hit the pipes, just go around it, that's your problem. Then it goes into this turn and loops back under the track you were just on, like the original. And it goes into just this turn with a bit of off-road you can cut through, and down here with that speed boost set and a ramp in the off-road stolen from Luigi Circuit, because Luigi Circuit doesn't exist yet, so you can steal from it. I chose to put a ramp there and just not a normal shortcut, so it's kind of clear that you can take the shortcut, and a ramp is kind of cool even though there's no tricking. Anyway, next there's this sandy area with a little pond. This sandy area has a bunch of pipes in it, that's those green things stolen from Toad Circuit, but that's the off-road, and the actual turn here has a higher, a slanty path, like Luigi Circuit, again, stealing from it. Yeah, that's the new Figure 8 Circuit, and it looks a lot less like a Figure 8, so I've decided to call this Toad Circuit. Next is Yoshi Falls, which isn't really that bad, I don't think, but it definitely could have done more with its gimmick, so tried my best to do more with it here. So the starting line is that black line again, then it goes into a turn, like the original, where you can cut through the waterfall, then another one where cutting through the waterfall, so there's more actual waterfall usages. And next, it's got that one area in the original, the speed boost, one area, so it's like a ramp going up, and if you fall down off that bridge, you go into the water, which should slow you down, but not push you back. It'll be just the right speed, but then it's on a hill, so if you get to the top and over, you go down with a speed boost. And I want to make it be like if this was actually in the game, you'd have the faster path, instead of taking that boost panel off, would be fall off into that water, which would speed you up. Then it goes into a turn with this area, which is different because the faster path is on the boardwalky area, and to keep it easy and like a mushroom cup track that it is, falling off wouldn't make you fall right into the lake in the middle, it would make you fall off into these waterfalls, so you still have a chance to save yourself. Then there's this final turn of a boost pad and a final waterfall, and that's it. The next is Desert Hills. With the original Desert Hills, it was just kind of bland, really. It was all the same, except for that Super Mario Bros. 3, I think, theming in the background. So my redesign's kind of gone more into that theming, even though I've never played the game. So anyway, here it is. And by the way, not all of the tracks I'm improving are getting an art overhaul. It's just a coincidence that these first three are. The starting line is that black line, like always, and just goes forwards into a turn. Those random squares are like pyramids, like in the original, into another turn, into that pyramid right next to the turn there. It's supposed to be like that one turn with the shortcut where you can go around the pyramid, because I think that's quite cool. Then you go up a ramp into a big pyramid, and you inside just take a turn, and another turn into this big room with one or two fire snakes roaming around. They'd be quite easy to avoid because it's sort of flower cup. And you go out to the edge of the pyramid, and this road should probably be quite wide because it is a flower cup track, so you don't fall into the water too much. And then turn around into this orange pipe, like in Piranha Plant Pipeline. Then it just turns down through those turns into the straight bit with some off-road you've got to avoid. Then after that it goes into this big underground chamber thingy with a few pokies and off-road you got to avoid. Just to keep it interesting and kind of vary the locations. You go out of that into another pipe and there's this split path with the faster one, but it's got some off-road you got to avoid, or the slower one with no off-road. It goes out, there's a little boost pad there because it's like a big jump, because those are cool even without tricking, and then that's the end of the lap. Also this big brown area, originally it's like mountains, but I removed like most of them so you can actually see some of that theming still in the background. Well, the next track I will not be fixing is a Waluigi pinball. I am so tired of the people just hating on it just because they want to be different, because they're so boring. No, it does not need mushroom shortcuts. Look at TikTok Clock and Airship Fortress. I have never seen anyone complain about them two not having mushroom shortcuts. They only complain about Waluigi pinball not having them because it's so popular and they're trying to be different, like I said. Also, it being this just random, stupid, winding road instead of the whole pinball table is just a bit dumb, really. Like, what, you want it to be one big, long pinball table that we, one, less varied, and taking that slower, safer path would just be so boring, and it would be more boring without the windy turns, dodging pinballs, and it would be like an extended battle map. And to this final point, people say, oh, this is the worst one, this is so stupid. One thing, if it didn't have that pinball theming, people would like it less. Wow, great thinking there. If it did have worse theming, it would be worse. Congratulations. But God, I'm just so tired of these people trying to be different, but they're doing it so lazily they can't think of actually good reasons. I don't even think it's the best track in the game, or even second best. But I'm defending it like this because it's stupid people. Think of good reasons to hate the track, not stupid ones. Here in Shroom Ridge, this cheap lorry says fresh, but in the beta version it said flesh, and I think that's kind of funny, so I'd keep it. Next is DK Pathin. Yeah, I see why you pathed. So this is another track I completely redesigned, not because I think it's bad, it's just overshadowed by the other DK Snowy Mountain track and the other DK Mountain. So I decided to completely retheme it into a temple track, because I don't think there's ever actually been a temple track in Mario Kart before. So now here is the layout. First, starting off with that starting line, like always, we go into that turn, and those brown areas are like wooden spiky poles that you fall into. They look cool. So it just goes down there, and that kind of dark grey area is like off-road. Then there, it's got a little bit more windy there on over the wooden spikes and some speed boosts, just cause. here goes out on like a kind of balcony like thingy, so you can see like an outside jungle, so it feels like more like a real place instead of just a video game level. That grey line on the edge of the road is some sort of railing that stops you from falling off into the jungle. But I think it's better for this track to, like, instead of falling off, it's more just you bump into a wall and lose all your speed for here. There's already a bunch of other falling off, so that one's fine. Then after that there's another turn where you could fall into wooden spikes, and another turn into this jump down into this road with boulders coming down, like in the original. Instead of going down with the boulders, you're going up against them. So you go around that turn into that other turn, still avoiding boulders and spike pit. Then here, I decided to put like a little ramp in the spike pit as a little shortcut. It'll be like one of those ice outpost ones that are hard to do, but they don't require any specific items. Then after that, you're going up these like crisscrossing paths with boulders that alternate which side they go down. Then just go around this final turn of a few spikes, and then it's a giant golden banana like in DK's jungle. Wow, that's cool. You go around it into the speed boost into the next lap. Now it's time for Mario Circuit. This has a lot of wasted potential for being a Star Cup track. Well, I could move it into the Flower Cup. I think Mario Kart DS would look better and more unique without its Mario Circuit in the Flower Cup and in the Star Cup instead. But it's got to feel like a Star Cup track, so I'm making it harder. So first, before that pipe tunnel, I'm adding a third piranha plant fire thingy right there, so it's more difficult, like a Star Cup track. Then, through after the pipe, it'll go into a forest area like the BCP remake, but instead of just being a road with a forest there, you'll be in the forest and there'll be a few trees in the road. Not as much as Mount Wario, but enough that you'd run into them sometimes. Then for these final two U-turns, just add a pipe in the middle of the road, but a bit closer to the most inward path, so it's a bit harder to take the fastest, most inward path. Now it's Wario Stadium, which is actually pretty good, except for the ending bit, where it just goes into a bunch of ramps, which are wonderful in this game. I love it so much, so satisfying. So yeah, right where those ramps would be, I'm gonna add a tunnel, and it will look like the same material as that one area in the remake, like that. Oh, like Dokkan Course. That's so obvious, yeah, like that, but we'll have a few like those fire spinny thingies there to make it more difficult. It's a special cup track. And then for the final jump, I'll just add like a little ring of fire there to make it more cool. Next is Bowser's Castle. Actually, Bowser Castle. Yeah, that's the first change. It's Bowser's Castle. Now this is again a pretty good track. Actually, I'm just gonna say right now, I think most of these tracks I'm changing are actually pretty good, except Desert Hills and Figure 8 Circuit. But it's just they could technically be better, so I'm making them better, which is the point of this video. So anyway, right here at the start there are these two thwomps, and they move forwards and backwards before slamming down into the floor. But I think it would be a bit better if they were just a bit faster, so they're a bit more difficult. Then right after that, this spinny turn thingy with the fire, this is really cool, except that fire has never hit anyone ever, so I make it like actually able to hit people, so it's an actually difficult shortcut. And also to make it a more difficult shortcut, I'd make this thwomp that moves side to side a little bit faster like those other two. The spinny log thingy is perfect. Then it goes on to these final 4 big moving platforms, which are quite cool, but I think it would be better if those last two were like slanted in opposite directions like this. You have to turn around to get onto the other one without just slamming into it and falling into the lava to make it a little bit more difficult. And then for these final like random-ish turns over the lava, I would add a jump like the ending of NES Bowser Castle 2 in the BCP, where the thwomps going up is what you want to avoid instead of them going down, blocking your jump. But with these ones, since you can't trick, I think it'd be kind of funny to just put bead panel boost thingies on top of them. And then just before the finish line, there'd be like 3 thwomps just spanning across the entire road, because that's in quite a few Bowser Castles, and I think it's a decent final obstacle for this one. It's time for the final track, Rainbow Road. I think this one's a really cool Rainbow Road. I do, but I've already talked about how I'm still making them better. So anyway, here is starting line. Goes down into a boost, and I wanted to make it like Wii, where you can go across different boost panels to go faster, but I decided to make a split path instead to make it more interesting, and you can fall off easier, I guess. It goes into a turn into Saturn, like in 7's Rainbow Road, but 7 doesn't exist yet, so it's not dealing. And on the rings there'll be a few speed boosts that you have to get onto, then a few like holes, like in the 7 version. And this one, the speed boost will be right before the hole, so you could still get it, but if you're not careful, you'd speed boost right into that hole. And then this next one, there's a path around the more inner path, going around the hole, or the speed boost path. I'm not sure which one would be faster, to be honest. Then after that, there's 2 more speed boosts in front of holes, because I think it's a good obstacle. And then there's the final speed boost into the actual final speed boost of the ring, which has you jump off onto this road, which splits into these 2 split paths. Now, the proportions of the road are kind of off. Those roads would definitely be wider in the actual version because they're probably a bit too thin right now. And for these final 2 roads, instead of having them be like equal length, I've decided that there will be a fastest path, but it is by jumping between the 2 of them to take the most speed boosts. I just think that would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Here it goes into the vertical loop. I'm keeping from the original just because it's really cool. It's anti-gravity before anti-gravity. The vertical loop originally was, well, it's not that difficult. The only way of falling off was being hit by another player, but I've noticed something about it. Going through the loop, you have a speed boost. So my theory is, if you have enough speed, you'll stay on the loop going upside down. But if you don't, you'll fall off. That's why I designed this. This is what the loop will be like, because I couldn't really art it onto the loop. So basically, what you'd have to do to stay on is go through the boost panels. There'll be like, you don't have to hit all of them stay on, but you'd have to hit most of them probably. Because I think that's much better than just straight track where you might be hit by an item. This time it's more of your fault if you fall off. It takes more skill. And speaking of skill, now here it goes into these 2 split paths. One is for the babies and has railings. Oh yeah, I probably should have mentioned this track won't really have any railings except for here and one other place, because I just don't really like having them on Rainbow Road really. But anyway, that is the baby path, and here's the gamer path, which is for actual gamers who have skill and can take the quicker path onto these floating platforms, which are like the ones in 7's Rainbow Road, again stealing from it, but this time they get thinner as you go along, so you have to be more in the middle each time, and you have to have yourself perfectly aligned since you don't have much air control in DS, which I like a lot. It makes things like these interesting, and you'll go down into a turn into this area. This like donut thingy, it's copying that one part of Wii's Rainbow Road, just only half of it. And that in the middle is a black hole, because I think jumping over a black hole with like a mushroom boost. Oh yeah, I'm saying things in the wrong order. The middle with the ramp, you'd be able to jump over all the way over with like a mushroom boost or maybe fast vehicle on 200cc. And I just think jumping over a black hole would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Then after that wee donut, you go into the corkscrew. I was not bothered to like draw it properly here, so it's just straight track. Anyway, here is what this will be like. It's a bit different to the loop. This one has a split path with a railing in the middle that you have to get the speed boosts of. Also, there's less speed boosts on this, so you have to be more precise with them. And if you hit that railing too hard, you lose all your speed and fall off. I think it's a cool and good challenge because I really like the inversions. If they remake this track, I really hope Nintendo do stuff like the speed boost panel thingies like this. Except I know they won't because anti-gravity exists now. So I really don't want them to remake this track just because of that. Except I kinda do at the same time, but mostly not. So after those speed panels, it goes into this final like turny bit. The road isn't supposed to be thinner here, it's just I forgot the brush size and was not bothered to fix it. So anyway, it goes through these turns, and speed boost, the jump down there, the final turn into the end. But if you've been paying attention to the video, which I hope you have, you'll see these asteroids all around it. So these asteroids will be like the final obstacle to the Rainbow Road. They'll be crashing into the road and you have to avoid them. And I think the DS might be able to handle it because limitations. Probably should have talked about limitations a lot more in this video. That doesn't matter anyway. And there'll be some sort of indicator that are about to crash, because if there wasn't, that'd just be unfair really. And that's the end of the Rainbow Road. I just added these few planets scattered around to add to the Planet E theming, just cause I wanted to make my art look at least a little bit better. And that was all the Nitro tracks. Now it's time for definitely the part where they did the worst with this. This is absolutely terrible. Battle mode. Wait, jokes aside, this is like the best battle mode I've ever played. Like, only thing I'd change about it is Twilight House's music, just because that's not really fitting. I don't care if they just steal it from Luigi's Mansion. It's just, the battle mode theme isn't really that fitting. Also, this is the only time I'll talk about music because I'm a very not musical person and know like nothing about it. And now I'm fixing the retros. Definitely the biggest problem with this game. Just what were they thinking? Just look at these. But you know, maybe not all of them were bad choices, so the tracks I'm keeping and are staying in the same spot are Mario Circuit 1, and that's it. I did say it was the game's biggest problem. But before I talk about any of the other tracks, first I'm going to talk about Mario Circuit 1, because I still need to fix that. I kept it because it's the first track in the series, so I suppose it should be the first track to return. But give it 5 laps, just so it's not really short. Also, I probably should have said this earlier, I'm not keeping it in the order of games. So it won't go SNES, N64, GBA and GCN. It'll just go in difficulty, kinda, even though I've never played some of these tracks. So the next track is Riverside Park. And this will be like the BCP version, but with the original layout. And it'll look worse, obviously, because it's on the DS. I think this is a better choice than Peach Circuit because, well, obviously, you can't have a cup with 3 circuits in and expect it to be any good. The next track, which is Moo Moo Farm's replacement, is Choco Mountain. I know this was in the Star Cup, but I think it could be easy enough to be in a Mushroom Cup, because there's only a few bits where you can fall off, and only a few falling boulders, so I think it should be fine. And I think this is better than Moo Moo Farm because it's a more complex track, which isn't very difficult since it's an oval. Now the next track, oh, I really didn't want to do this. This was easily the hardest track to pick, but in the end I went with Dry Desert. I know, but it's the only track I could really put there. Because I didn't want the Luigi circuit to be there, because 2 circuits in 1 cup isn't very good, and I'm replacing it. Baby Park is obvious, we all know how that ended up in DS. But the other one I actually considered was Peach Beach. But I didn't choose it because I wanted the Double Dash track to be the finale, and Peach Beach was probably just a bit too easy for a finale. So I ended up going with Dry Desert, which I dislike but don't really regret. And now I fixed the worst cup in Mario Kart history. It's time for the Banana Cup, which instead of starting with Donut Plains 1, it's starting with Donut Plains 3. I know I'm making some big changes here. I think this is a much better choice because Donut Plains 1 was just not that good of a choice. It was the second track in Super Mario Kart, so it really shouldn't be in the Banana Cup. And this was in 8th Banana Cup, so it fits, just you wouldn't be able to drive underwater. And I'd make it more like the 8 version, where it's got some terrain variation. And that's it for that track. So the next track, I'm replacing GBA Bowser Castle 2 with Luigi Circuit. I thought Luigi Circuit would be better because, to be honest, I just don't really like 2D Bowser Castles in 3D games. Except for SNES 3. Sounds like really, really good. Like an amazing glow up, and the DS wouldn't really be able to glow up a track like that. So I replaced it with Luigi Circuit from later in the game. It's got less obstacles than Bowser's Castle 2, but it's a bit windier, so the difficulty kind of matches. Next is Mushroom Bridge. I just keep it the same as the version in the DS already, really, except just add the bridge shortcut. I don't care about any of the other shortcuts on the track, I just want the bridge one, but the other ones would be nice too if the DS could handle that. And for the final cup in this track, I chose Banshee Boardwalk to replace Rappy Snowland, because I really like Banshee Boardwalk, but I think it could be easy enough to fit in to an earlier cup, so I think it's a decent finale to the Banana Cup. Now for the start of the Leaf Cup, it's Yoshi Circuit. Not as the final track in the game. Why would it being the final track be a good idea? But I think it fits the Leaf Cup better since it was in Double Dash Star Cup, and also I'd bring back the tunnel shortcut because I think it's cool. Next, instead of Luigi Circuit, which I moved to be earlier, is Cheese Land. And for this, it would be like a mix between the original and the 8 version. It would look like kinda the 8 version with the layout and jumps, but it wouldn't have its chain chomp. And instead, it would have the mice return, because they're much better than any chain chomps, and it would look more like the original. Because the 8 one does look like a desert with a normal sky instead of like vibrant cheese and space. Now to replace Cooper Beach 2 is a different water track. It is Vanilla Lake 2. I think this is a pretty interesting track. This game doesn't have any ice track, even though that doesn't really matter to me. Still, it's good to have one, I guess. I just love jumping over the gaps in the ice. So that's why I chose to bring it back. And instead of those random ice blocks, this version would use the snowmen from that one track I removed and that one other track I completely rethemed. For the finale of the Leaf Cup, this remake of the track would again be mixing its original version with the 8 remake. It is Yoshi Valley. First of all, yes, I know 2 Yoshi tracks in the same cup. I just think that's a bit funny. And it's not like they're boring circuit. Actually, I just thought this wouldn't actually have anything really like the 8 version. It'd be more like the original. I don't want it to have the obvious fastest path like the remake. And it wouldn't be able to have the graphics of the remake, obviously. So yeah, it would be like the original where there's still a fastest path, but there's a lot more winding paths, and the fastest path is the most difficult one, because that's just a whole lot more interesting than one obvious fast path that's decently easy to do. And finally, it's the Lightning Cup, a cup that decided it would be a great idea to finish on a circuit. But anyway, to start off this cup, I've chosen to do the best track that's already in this cup, Sky Garden. It's just kinda good, nothing else to say really. Now next is a track I've never played, and I'm not 100% sure if the DS could handle it, but I'm like a good 80 to 90, and it is Wario Coliseum instead of Yoshi Circuit. Stupid idea. This was a special cup track in its own game, so it belongs to be in the last cup of this game. It just makes sense. And even though I've never played it, I think it could be good. You know, some people say it's good, others don't. I think I'd enjoy it. And it would have 2 laps, because this Mario Kart DS respects the intended lap count, except for Donut Plane 3 and Vanilla Lake 2 and the final SNES track, because those are actually going to be 3 laps of just Mario Circuit 1. Maybe I don't respect the lap count. Next, instead of Banshee Boardwalk, is Bowser's Castle as the penultimate track where it belongs. This is, again, a track I've never played, but it was the only Bowser's Castle I could really bring back, because I already said how I don't like the 2D ones in 3D games, and Double Dashes is probably a bit too much for the DS to handle, and is very similar to the DS's own Bowser's Castle, atmosphere-wise anyway. But this one, got a different atmosphere, because I might have never played it, but I can definitely watch videos of it, and I think this haunting atmosphere is a good contrast to the DS's Bowser's Castle, because like DS's Bowser's Castle is like evil in a like bad guy way. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but N64's Bowser's Castle is evil in like a haunting way. So that's why I chose it. And now finally, the final track that I should have gotten, like the most obvious choice for the final track. This track which is so much better than Choco Island 2 and Yoshi Circuit. Rainbow Road, obviously. It makes sense for the first Rainbow Road to be the first Rainbow Road to be brought back and to be the final track in this game. It was also the only Rainbow Road I could really bring back because N64's is terrible, Double Dashes doesn't look very good. Oh sorry, I mean DS limitations. And no one likes Super Circuit. So yeah, I chose SNES Rainbow Road. This would be like the 8 remake, except the road wouldn't wiggle because the DS can't do that. I keep the shortcut ramps, but I'd get rid of those ones in that long straightaway, and I'd replace it with a rainbow swamp that moves side to side across the road to keep that straight interesting. And that was it. I hope you think I made it better. Please do not subscribe, because I will not be making any more Mario Kart videos similar to this. Just watch like actual Mario Kart YouTubers. I just made this because I've been watching too much Mario Kart videos lately. This video was very inspired by this video here on screen, so you should probably watch that after. I also think it's kind of...
Never change.
Yeah. That aged wonderfully. Before I go, remember those Mario Kart games I said I played in the intro? Well, my least favourite of those 4 is Wii.